This is Sarah with Makin Wellness, and today I wanted to sit down and talk with you about how to love someone who is an addict. So, according to the National Institutes of Health, approximately 10% of Americans struggle with addiction. So, this is a pretty significant proportion of our population. So, there is a 10% chance that you're with someone who's struggling with an addiction. And when you're dating or married or engaged to someone who has a really difficult time with addiction, it is going to impact you psychologically, emotionally, financially, and even environmentally. So, this is something that is going to impact you in a plethora of ways. And I wanted to make this video because this is something that not too many people talk about. There's a lot of information about how to support an addict, but not necessarily how supporting an addict can be really difficult and how it can be really emotionally painful. So I wanted to share that if this applies to you, your well-being matters. You don't have to completely lose yourself in this relationship if you kind of do a cost-benefit analysis and see that this is something that is not helpful for you at this point. It's important to set boundaries with yourself and with your partner as well, and what you will absolutely accept, and to put a limit on what it is that you will not accept as well. And also considering that addiction is a disease. This is a biological disease. They don't necessarily have control over it. If someone who's an addict drinks for the very first time and they have the genetic predisposition to being an addict, immediately they're going to be hooked. It's not something where they necessarily intend to become an addict. It's something that someone is has a genetic predisposition for. So having that level of understanding can be comforting as well, knowing that they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to constantly make mistakes or to make errors. So that can potentially help you have a bit more understanding for the other person. If you've been in a relationship with someone who is in recovery or someone who is actively using, I would highly recommend to encourage for them to seek out addiction-related counseling and for you to do couples counseling together. There are a plethora of challenges that arise when you are with someone who struggles with addiction, and to have the safe place for both of you to go to as well as your partner to go to can be extremely effective. And there are so many wonderful counselors in our team that are more than happy to be of service to you and to be able to support you during this really challenging time. It's also important to consider that if a challenge or a fight or confrontation arises whenever you address perhaps what your boundaries are, or with you addressing how the addiction is affecting you or your relationship, and it really starts to escalate, I would highly recommend for you to take a couple steps back and allow them to cool down, and then have the conversation. If someone gets very emotionally upset or very angry, it activates a portion of your brain called the reptilian cortex. And when that part of the brain is activated, people say and do things that they really don't mean, and they're not actually able to use the entirety of the brain when they are speaking or reacting or whatever, and they're in a fight or flight mode. So many times people will say or do things that are really hurtful. So if you notice that they're starting to escalate more, do keep that in mind, and give them the opportunity to approach you whenever they are calm, so then you can have a more constructive conversation then. And the last thing that I would highly recommend is to do your best to keep clear communication lines open, to express how you feel and to express how their addiction impacts you and how it impacts your relationship. And when you do this, it's helpful if you use the phrase, I feel blank when you blank. So for an example, an example could be, I feel hurt when you lie to me and you go out to the bar in the middle of quarantine to drink. Or I feel betrayed when you tell me you're working, but you're actually out drinking with your friends. When people hear that I feel blank when you blank, they actually immediately put their guard down because you're taking a step of vulnerability. And when you are vulnerable, your partner more than likely will be vulnerable as well. So I hope these tips in this video is helpful for you. If you're loving someone who's struggling with addiction, you're not alone. And our team would love to be of support for you during this challenging time. If there's anything that you need, or if you are looking for an addiction counselor or couples counselor, please give our highly rated team a call at 833-274-HEAL, and we would love to be able to support you and to help you and your partner heal and become happy again. I hope you have a wonderful day, and please do reach out when you are ready.